everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am here to talk about the quilt along that will be starting very soon. I really don't have anything planned in particular, so I thought I would do a video, talk just about the quilt along, and then that is going to force me to get started. I have wanted to do quilt alongs, or at least things like quilt block of the month or quilt block of the week. But I thought, if we're going to make blocks, why don't we just sew them together and have an actual quilt? And then I thought, it's because in the way it's like kind of too easy. Well, not necessarily, but what I have in my mind, to start with is like very easy. And I think that's going to be okay. So even like if I do like a quilt block of the week or the month, sometimes I like to do things that are just really different. And some people are weird about putting things together that don't look like they belong together. So I think that's what stops me from saying I'll do a block per week and then we'll put it all together at the end. I do a lot of quilt blocks, but then they just sit there and I'll end up putting them in a quilt at some point. But this is going to be an actual quilt along where we're going to finish a quilt. I'm going to do just the quilt top. Unless, we make a throw size, I might do the, I always call it like the duvet, with just batting and a backing and then we turn it. And, that's about as much as I like to do. And I don't like to do the quilting. I don't like the looks and feel of an actual quilted quilt. I like blankets. I don't like things that are sewed down flat. I don't know. So I'm going to make a top and you guys can finish it any old way that you want. I would like to start on January 1st. That's only 2 days away, but I can do this. It's going to be a scrappy quilt. Then you don't have to worry about how much fabric do you need. You just need fabric scraps. And if you don't have fabric scraps, you could go get some 1/4 yard cuts of a few different prints or colors or whatever. And if you run out, you don't have to worry about matching anything. You can get completely different prints or colors. And I thought I could come up with some kind of a scrappy pack of various size cuts to give you some variety. It wouldn't be enough for the whole project, but it would give you something to work with that would give you some, different colors, different prints. You can add your own. And, this is a good project for somebody who has clothing that they'd like to cut up. 100% cotton clothing is great, but you can also use a cotton poly blend as long as it's not a stretch. So, think about that. You can even use 100% cotton clothing cut up in with regular fabric, regular quilt fabric. You can also mix some flannel in there if you want to make it like a crazy scrappy quilt where there's just different fabrics, different textures. You can have some batik in there if you want. It's really anything goes. And I'm a little bit excited about it. I was dabbling with the idea of doing, some very simple blocks to throw in there, like half square triangles, things like that. But no, this first one is going to be just various cuts of fabric that we're going to slap together. I did an ultimate scrappy quilt a while back, and I might look at that to give me some ideas of what I did, but it's just going to be that. So what I would like, I'm still not exactly sure. I want the blocks to be big enough so that I can set them up to look different, to have different cuts, so that it really will just be all kinds of sizes of pieces in there. It should be very colorful. I think you're gonna like it. So it might be a 10-inch finished size or maybe even a 12-inch. And I'm thinking 3 across, 4 down. I'm not thinking of putting sashing between the blocks because I like it to just look like one big scrappy mess, but you can if you want. And if you need a bigger quilt than we end up with, You can just repeat some blocks or make your own blocks, throw in blocks in there that you want to throw in, like maybe you want to make some big half square triangle blocks to just throw in there here and there. It really will be up to you. I just thought it would be fun that we could be doing something at the same time. And what I would like is to encourage you to look for things that have like a motif on it. So like if we happen to use a 2-inch square or a 3.5-inch square, look and see what you've got, and you could cut something around a motif, which would be really cool. And what I would like to do is have the next video's squares already made, so I could tell you what sizes you're going to need for the next one, so you could start to look around and see. Like I might say you're going to need 2 5-inch squares, a 3.5-inch square, a strip. You know, I could let you know what the next block or blocks. I'd like to do 2 blocks per video. I'd like to let you know in advance what's coming up so that you can start looking for your fabric. So I like all of that. And for those of you who are like, this is just way too simple, I don't need a quilt along for something like this. Well, sometimes we want to whip up a quilt and we just don't make time for it. So this is a good way to do that. I have looked at some quilt alongs, and there was one that I really wanted to join. I'm so glad I didn't. It was so complicated. I would have been miserable, and it was a huge quilt. And I was like, oh my God, how are these people even doing this? I mean, it was beautiful to watch, but it wasn't something I would have liked to do. So this one will be very easy for you to get through. And if you don't feel like starting, when I start, well, the videos will be there. It will be a series. It will have its own playlist, and you can do it whenever you want down the road. I think that's all I wanted to tell you about the actual quilt along. Let me look. I will try to come up with some kind of a scrappy pack. The thing is, I don't have the tons of prints like when I was in Maine. Even though I would deplete bolts, there would always be something left, and I had boxes of like just probably 200 or 300 different prints, and I could have cut some of those. I'm not there now because I got rid of everything except for, you know, some stuff. I'm starting to build, but I don't have the variety that I would have liked, but I have an idea. So even if I can't get that right away, I can get it as we're going, because I need to place another order for boxes of fat quarters. That's a good way for me to get a variety for you guys. Okay, so all of that sounds good, and I think that I said pretty much all I need to say. The first video, I would like it to be up January 1st. And then I'm just going to do it as I can. I'm not going to do just the quilt along. There's going to be other videos in between. And I don't want to commit to saying every Tuesday or whatever. I'm not going to take months to do this. But, you know, we're just going to do it as I can. It won't take a long time. I'd like at least 1 video per week if I can. I should be able to do that. And I'm just anxious. I'm anxious to get started, and I'm anxious to see how it goes. Now let's talk about the group that I dabbled with. See how I feel when I think about it? It's a very good sign that I really do not need to be starting a group. I want to remind everybody, it has nothing to do with the negativity within a group. I'm not even worried about that. I know many of you know, because I've said this before, but I have to repeat it every now and then because there's a lot of new people on board. Any written, typed stuff is noise to me. It's just noise. I read it with a very loud voice in my head. I can't even shut up inside my brain. And it bothers me. And there are times when I see notifications, it's like, oh, I mean, it like crushes me. I just am not comfortable with the whole online socializing thing. I don't care for chit chat. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like groups and things like that. That's why my group that I have, the comments are turned off. And it seems so like I'm just mean or whatever. What do I have for the rules of my own group? Let's read it. Hang on, let me find it. And it's funny how people will just ignore those rules that they agreed to when they get in, and they just dismiss it. I don't like that. Hang on. All right, this is what I have in my like rules in my group that I currently have, Darlene Michaud. I turn comments off in this group because I love a quiet space. Do not leave comments in this group, even if you see that the comments are open. I sometimes forget to turn them off. Every time I post in my group, I have to manually turn the comments off for that post. Sometimes I forget, and then people will start commenting. And, you know, all right. Please do not contact me outside of this group about anything that I post in this group. This includes Facebook messages, email, YouTube community board. That is also off. That I could take that out. At one point, I couldn't turn comments off there, but now YouTube has a way for us to turn comments off there. So YouTube community board, eBay, snail mail, phone calls, smoke signals, messages in a bottle, telepathic messages. I think you get my point. Doing so can get you banned from the group. Like I said, I like a quiet space. Thank you. That pretty much gives you an idea of how much I don't like socializing. I don't even want a fucking message in a bottle. I used to want to find a message in a bottle when I was a kid, and I thought I could possibly find that because I was on a lobster boat all the time, and I would be looking, message in a bottle. I know I have options. None of them feel good to me. I mean, I could have the group set up so that I have to, that all the comments would come to me and I'd have to review them, and then I don't even know the words. I'm so nervous already about all of this. I can decide if the comment goes out. See, I don't even want questions. When somebody asks me a question, it's like I want to be so thorough in the answer, and then it can take me a long time, and then I'm like, oh no, that sounds stupid, or did I spell that word right? I'm just a fucking fruitcake. You know, I can't think of anything else. Don't make me have a group. To have somebody else run it, that makes me nervous too. I think the best thing is for me to not have a group for this quilt along, don't you? If I change my mind, I'll let you know. Let's do this first quilt along with no group. I'm so afraid that having the group, running a group, dealing with a group, the noise, the anxiety of the chit-chat and the questions I get, and then it would make me hate the quilt along. I know, because I already thought if I have a group, I'm going to hate the quilt along. I'm just going to not do any of it. I just thought I can't have a quilt along without a group, so I just can't do this. I can have a quilt along without a group. I don't have to do what everybody else does. I don't. People told me that my group that I have right now would never work if I don't have comments on. How can you have a group and not have comments? I've had that group a long time. I have over 5,000 people in that group. You know, I actually had some people at the beginning say, I love a group with no comments. I don't have to, hear anything. The quilt along, that's going to be fun. I really would have liked a place to see the blocks that you make, but sometimes we have to give up stuff that we would like to have in order to be able to do what we want to do in the first place. The most important thing out of this is to have a quilt along and have a very easy quilt for you guys to make, a scrappy quilt. For some of you, it will be the first quilt you ever make, and you'll be so excited. I know this. I don't need a group to validate that for me. Would it be nice? Yes. It would be cool if I could be that kind of a person. But I just don't have it in me. I've been damaged. So I have to do what I can to have a quilt along. All right? I think you guys understand what I mean. And if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. You just don't. You just don't. I think most people are understanding When somebody is this honest and puts it all out there, all I can hope for is that people will understand. I can't make people understand. I can't make people like me the way I am. I don't even care about that. So that's just the way it is. I just want to be honest with you guys, and I want you to understand why. And it's going to be okay. It really will. All right, you guys. Fingers crossed that January 1st, I will have the first video for this, and I'll be back with more soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.